everybody. I'm Jonathan from Boredom Sated, and this is the rest of the Boredom Sated crew, and we are back once again to talk about our opinion on overpowered spells. For this, we are talking about 5th level spells. With 5th level spells, you get a couple of your favorites, a couple of the old faves from previous editions, and we're going to talk about some of those, and we're going to talk about some new ones that were put in for this edition as well. As per usual, I will kick us off with my first spell. My first spell is actually a combination of spells, depending on where we want to go with it, and it is Commune with Nature, and Contact Other Plane. The reason why all three of these are basically the same, and they're all rituals, is that they do the same essential thing, not exactly the same thing, but they're for different types of spellcasters. Commune works with you contact your deity or divine proxy, so obviously you're looking at your cleric types. Commune with Nature, you're communing with nature, so you're looking for your druid types. You also don't get as much cool information about commune with nature because you only get information based on nature. And of course, Contact Other Plane, you're looking for whatever entity you're trying to find. Could be a demigod, it could be a long dead guy, could be just some kind of extraplanar intelligence, which is, of course, the reason why, in order to be able to cast this spell correctly, you have to make a DC 15 intelligence saving throw or take 66 psychic damage, and you go insane until the end of you finish a final rest. Or long rest, not final rest. It's a fun spell. The reason why I mention all of these spells is because, quite literally, the power level of the spell is determined by the GM. Because the GM can basically decide whether to answer a question or not, how much information to give the player based on what questions they ask. It is out-of-game knowledge that you can get by asking the question of an otherworldly being, or a god, or just nature in general. And that is an incredibly powerful ability. Many people and many GMs don't like players taking this spell, or these spells, specifically because they kind of, in some ways, I mean, I wouldn't say ruin the game, but they make the game more difficult to play appropriately. Divination spells in general, for some GMs and some players, are a big no-no, specifically because of asking GM outside questions like this. However, you have to remember that it's an incredibly powerful tool, and that's the reason why, for some people, it's such a big no-no.
All right, my first spell, the overpowered list of 5th level, is Animate Object. Now, Animate Object may seem rather simple. You just casting a spell on, inanimate objects, like, let's go with coins, for instance. Depending upon the size of it, limits the number of which you can control. It starts at 10 with very tiny objects. So let's start with 10, because that's exactly what I would do in this case. You get 10 coins. Each of them counts as a tiny creature. That's right, they're almost like miniature golems in that regard, or animated armors, both in the monster manual. And these things fly around. You can command them up to 500 feet away, which is impressive. And they can move at the speed of 30. They have their own armor class. They have their own hit points. They have a pretty decent to hit roll, +8. And they do pretty decent damage for something that's really tiny, 1d4 +4. But on your bonus action, you can attack with 1, 2, or all 10 of them against whomever you want. 1 person, 2 people, or 10 people, all with 1 bonus action. And to make this beautiful cake even more delicious, when you pump it with higher level spell slots, as you can with various spells, you can get it up to 18 objects. I imagine getting smacked with 18 objects every single round on a bonus action. And then you can still cast, well, you have concentration to maintain this, of course, but you still have the ability to cast another spell on top of hitting someone with 18 attacks. And if your enemy is a wizard or a caster, if they have concentration checks, good luck with that. Just good luck. It is one of the most broken spells I've ever seen for the level and the utility.
My first spell is Reincarnate. Now, this is a druid transmutation spell. Only druids can cast it. Basically, if someone's soul is free and they died within 10 days, they get a new body. You can have them come and roll D100 or the DM Dungeon Master's choice. They get a brand new body of possibly a different race, most likely a different race based on the table. But it's all humanoid races that are player characters. And this can be used in weird ways. One, you can resurrect your friend, and two, what about if you want to disappear? Maybe you're being hunted, and you need a new look and new identity. Have your druid friend come up with your druid friend. You got to trust them. Kill yourself, or have them kill you, and then reincarnate. And bam, new you, ready to go. No one knows who you are. You've got no background other than what you've created for yourself, and now you're not hunted anymore. You could do. There's many ways you could use reincarnate in very weird ways, and it's permanent, and it's probably overpowered throughout the game, throughout the levels.
Sounds like a super villain type of.
Yes, it is.
So my first spell is Teleportation Circle. It's one of the it's the first point where you can travel infinite distance on the same plane of existence. There is some prep required where you have to set up a permanent circle, and it takes a while to set that up. But once you set that up in your castle or your home or wherever you have it, you can be anywhere else in the plane. And after 1 minute of casting, you and anybody that fits in a 10-foot diameter circle can be instantly teleported to your home base. So this is not so much as an effect in combat or anything, but it lets you resupply. It lets you get out of you just faced a huge monster. You're being chased by somebody. You block the door. You have a minute or so. You can get out of the situation to somewhere reasonably fast with just one spell. The whole party. So it's if you have a minute, it really allows you to get out of very difficult situations, as well as lets you travel vast distances as the first spell at any level that allows you to do that.
One quick thing about that, the setup time is a year. You have to cast it every day for a year. Yes. The main way that teleportation circles are usually used in most campaigns is you find a city that's already got one.
Right.
And then you go back to them, not your own home base. Because unless your campaign has a year of downtime, you probably aren't doing that.
Well, it doesn't say that you have to be at the circle. It just says you have to cast the spell. So every morning
you cast the spell in the same place.
It doesn't say that.
It really does.
It just says you have to cast the spell.
That's still a spell being cast.
You use up a fifth level slot every day.
Okay. Just quick argument. If you're 50,000 miles away and you cast Teleportation Circle, you think that's reinforcing the one you cast in your home base?
I'm just reading the way it reads in the rules. I'm not interpreting.
Just saying. Look, you have to cast it in a specific place for an entire year to reinforce it in order to get Teleportation Circle. You got to have a lot of downtime to get it into your castle. But tons of use in it. It is an amazing spell.
You can hold on, wait. It says you can do a permanent one, but you also can do a temporary one. Then you draw. Now casting time's 1 minute, and that's it.
Yeah, no, the temporary one allows you to wherever you are teleport to a permanent one.
Okay. All right.
It's a great spell. It is fantastic. Setup is a little annoying. So find a temple, find a city that's already got one, and you're set.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Our second set of spells. At this point, we probably got a bit of doubling up that we're going to talk about. I'm going to start us off on our doubling up with, I'm going to start off with another spell that will be doubled up on, which is Synaptic Static. Synaptic Static is in Xanathar's. It is 1 action, range 120 feet. It is an offensive spell, and if you guys have watched the rest of these, you know that I don't really pick offensive spells for the overpowered ones. This is a really good offensive spell. So the way it works is you choose a point within the 120 feet. 20-foot radius centered on that point must make intelligence saving throws. Because you know how many people have good intelligence saving throws.
Not many.
All creatures affected by this spell take 8d6 psychic damage on a fail, or half as much on a successful save. The reason you could be unaffected would be that this is, first of all, it is an enchantment spell, so that could matter. And second, if you have an intelligence score of 2 or less, you are too dumb to be affected by this spell. Now, if you fail this save, you take, as I said, 8d6 psychic damage, but the much more powerful effect from this is, if you save, you have muddled thoughts for up to 1 minute. During that time, a d6 is rolled, and subtract that number rolled from all attack rolls, ability checks, and constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. So, if you do not have a good intelligence save, and you get hit with this, I have done this in a game and had a 6 be rolled, and the GM basically say, well, the combat's basically over now. Because it's like, when it has trouble hitting you already, and then you take -6 away from its attack rolls. Like, let's see if it gets that 20. Now, the good thing for them is that they do get an additional saving throw at the end of each of their turns to end the d6 effect. So it can only last for 1 turn, but subtracting a d6 from all attack rolls and ability checks is gigantic. And since most spellcasters won't be needing attack rolls, they're just going to make you make saving throws. If they've got to maintain concentration, it will be more difficult for them to do so.
I also had Synaptic Static. Next. You covered everything. It's a psychic fireball, basically, except with after effects that really mess you up. It's a great spell. So,
and I'll double up on animate objects. Basically, why bother having archery or firearms when you can have your own animated bullets? And that's really what it comes down to with these small tiny objects. And that's all I have to add on that one.
Synaptic Static, also one of the top 3 overpowered spells for 5th.
Just not good.
So, as you can see, our second set of spells went pretty quick. And guess what? My third spell's also going to go quick, because I am a huge fan of Reincarnate. Honestly, John mentioned everything that needed to be mentioned in Reincarnate. Honestly, I love the idea of just saying, of being like, yeah, I can raise you. But what will you become? And then some players being like, no, I don't want to be reincarnated. All right, you don't want to come back to life. So it's funny just to have the player interaction, as well as the fact that if the GM wants to, the GM could just be like, all right, so you were a dwarf. Let's make you an elf now. Because you remember everything and you hate yourself. Yeah, it's a great role-playing opportunity, and I just think that's cool.
All right. My third spell is a little bit different now. It's an old school spell. It's actually a combination of 4 old school spells in one. And it's the Bigby's hand spell. Requires a snakeskin glove and an eggshell. Lasts a minute due to concentration. But when you have this this large, basically fist made out of force that can provide 4 effects. Now, the beauty of this is that it sticks around. A bit like a spiritual weapon in that regard. But you attack using your bonus action, and it does pretty good damage for its level. The clenched fist, you smack anybody within 5 feet of it, takes 4d8 force damage. Also very useful against ghosts and etherics. It's also a very strong hand, as you might imagine. Its strength is 26. You can do the forceful hand. Forceful hand is basically you're grappling someone. Good luck with that. There's grasping hand and interposing hand. Interposing hand basically gives you the hand interposes between you and another creature, and it becomes difficult terrain to try and you have to beat it in a strength score to get past it. Again, good luck with that.
Just remember, the interposing hand is necessary for when you have the Bigby eye poke.
Yeah, that's another one. And I like pumpable spells. This this one also for every level above it adds 2d8 to the damage of the clenched fist, and 2d6 for the grasping hand version that does crushing damage. Basically, you grapple someone and crush them, which can be some serious damage. Since this is 5th level, so 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 4. It can add 8. So basically, if you went to the cast at the maximum level, 9th level, the clenched fist will be doing 12d8 per punch, which is pretty massive for a bonus action attack. And the crushing hand will do 10d6 crushing them. So that's my.
Yeah, just don't forget, you have to go Hadouken after casting the spell.
And my third spell is Dominate Person. This is an enchantment cast by normally bards, sorcerer, wizards, but also some subclasses of cleric, paladin, and warlock. This is a nasty spell and is way overpowered for a 5th level, which lasts up to a minute at this level, but every time you cast it at a higher level, the time extends anywhere from 10 minutes up to 8 hours. This, with a wisdom saving throw initially, and any time they take damage, they get another wisdom saving throw. You can make them do absolutely anything, including killing themselves. Now, say you need to assassinate the king and he's on his terrace, as long as you're within 60 feet, so you tell him, hey, just say, it's time for a new king, and jump. And he jumps. That's it. As long as he lost his initial saving throw, he's going to do exactly what you want him to do. So, obviously at higher levels, it lasts a very long time. You can do really complicated and intriguing things, with pretty much anybody that fails their saving throw. You can have the king give you, 1 million gold. Just, why not? Hey, he's my friend. And then you just book out of there, and 8 hours later, he's like, "What did I just do?" And so you could do that kind of stuff. It's a really overpowered spell for 5th level, and it really should have been more like an 8th or 9th level spell.
Well, it can be pumped up and make the duration even longer and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. You could do anything at 5th level. Like, you could have the person kill himself or launch a fireball on himself, anything that takes within 1 minute at the 5th level.
Right.
If he's a king, I'd be the power behind the throne. Long term.
You keep casting it on him, and you make him do stuff, and you start casting other ones like geese and things like that, and just keep pushing him to do everything you want. It's possible, but this one is like the one and done. You're done. You're dominated.
The reason why it's 5th level is because it only works on people.
Yeah.
That's why there is a higher level spell called Dominate Monster.
Yeah.
And that works on all of the better stuff. I think it's a 7th level spell. We may or may not talk about that later.
So I was quite surprised. Like my third choice for the most dominating, I would have bet good money that John would have selected it too. How many? And it's Danse Macabre.
Macabre.
Yes, Macabre. So all right, everyone, raise your hand if you thought John would have selected that spell too.
It was initially on my list.
Now the reason I think it has both a combat usefulness as well as a utility usefulness. So what it does is it allows you, as long as there's bodies within 60 feet of you, for one action you can raise those into zombies or skeletons, and they are better zombies and skeletons because they do get a bonus to their attack rolls with this spell. So, and if you're not in combat, you can always utilize them to carry stuff for you or to go ahead and try and see if something's trapped or if there's a pit in the thing. So there's utilization in combat where they're weak, but they're better than basic zombies and skeletons, considering it's a 5th level spell, and out of combat utilization. So that's why I thought it was a really good 5th level overpowered spells.
Remember, duration on that is what, an hour concentration?
The duration on that is, I thought it was concentration up to an hour. Yep.
Yeah, so you can definitely use it for several purposes, including sending them forward into the dungeon to open all the doors so that you don't have to.
And touch all the runes and traps and little wonderful things.
Yes, exactly. One thing I do want to mention, just because I looked, is that Dominate Monster is an 8th level spell.
There you go.
So there you go. There's a reason why. Dominate Person, great. Usually not as much used by the good guys, though. Dominate Monster, that's a little different. Anyway, let us know about your opinions on whether you think that we missed something. There's some other spells that are definitely really, really good that we did not talk about. Let us know your opinion if if any of our spells you think aren't overpowered, if there's something specific we missed. Either way, like, subscribe, do the notifications thing, leave a comment, and at least for me, that's it. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
No, that's it.
Enjoy.
See ya.